Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Apple TV's Cape Fear wastes absolutely no time pulling us into its unsettling world. If you went into this series expecting a straightforward remake of the classic Cape Fear story, the first 2 episodes probably surprised you. Yes, the names are familiar. Yes, Max Cady is still the terrifying figure at the center of everything, but this version is doing something very different. Instead of presenting a clear-cut battle between an innocent family and a dangerous psychopath, the show immediately starts asking whether the Bowden family is actually as innocent as they seem. And honestly, that is what makes these opening episodes so fascinating. Every conversation feels loaded with secrets. Every character appears to be hiding something. And while Max Cady certainly looks like the villain, the series keeps dropping clues that the truth may be much more complicated than anyone realizes. So today, let's break down everything that happened in episodes 1 and 2. The biggest mysteries surrounding the Bowdens, Zack's shocking injury, and whether Max Cady might actually be innocent of the crime that destroyed his life.
But I would like my lawyer to actually believe I was innocent.
The history between Max Cady and the Bowdens. One of the biggest changes in this version of Cape Fear is the relationship between Max Cady and the Bowdens. In previous versions of the story, the conflict was relatively straightforward. Here, however, the situation is far messier and far more personal. Years ago, Max Cady was accused of murdering his pregnant wife, while also carrying on an affair with another woman. During the trial, Anna Bowden served as his defense attorney, while Tom Bowden was part of the prosecution team. At first glance, that sounds normal. Lawyers represent people they may personally dislike all the time. But the show quickly reveals that Anna wasn't fully committed to defending Cady. In fact, she became convinced that he was guilty. Rather than fighting aggressively for her client, she essentially sabotaged parts of his defense because she believed justice required it. As if that wasn't complicated enough, after the trial, she eventually fell in love with Tom, the man who helped put Cady behind bars. The two got married and built a successful life together. From Anna's perspective, that chapter of her life was finished. Max Cady was in prison, and she could move on. But now everything has changed. A legal breakthrough has cast serious doubt on Cady's conviction, leading to his early release. Suddenly, a man who spent years in prison because of a case connected to both Anna and Tom is back in their lives, and he clearly hasn't forgotten anything.
No one knows but us. No one will because no one needs to, right?
The Bowdens are hiding something. One thing that becomes obvious almost immediately is that the Bowdens are not being completely honest. There are several moments where Anna and Tom have private conversations that suggest they're carrying a secret. One scene in particular stands out when Anna wonders whether Cady could have found out about it. Tom quickly dismisses the idea and insists there is no way. The show never explains what they're talking about, which immediately raises red flags. What's even more interesting is that their daughter Natalie overhears part of this conversation. That detail feels important because the camera intentionally draws our attention to it. This has already led many viewers to wonder whether Natalie could somehow be connected to Cady's past. Could she be linked to his wife? Could there be some hidden truth surrounding her birth? At this point, the series hasn't provided enough information to answer those questions, but it clearly wants us to suspect that there is a major secret buried within this family. And if that's true, Max Cady may know exactly what it is.
Huh? Why would I do that?
Max.
Zack's story is more important than it seems. While the mystery surrounding Max Cady dominates the plot, the series also spends a lot of time focusing on the Bowden's son, Zack. At first, his storyline might seem disconnected from the larger mystery, but by the end of episode 2, it becomes one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. Zack is already struggling before Cady returns. A few months earlier, he shared intimate photos of his girlfriend with friends, creating a scandal at school. The fallout left him isolated and unpopular. His parents try to help, but Zack has completely withdrawn from them. Instead, he spends most of his time online. That alone might not seem suspicious, but the show repeatedly emphasizes his digital relationships, especially his conversations with a girl he meets online. As viewers, we're encouraged to believe that Zack has found somebody who understands him, somebody who listens. But because this is Cape Fear, nothing is ever that simple. The series gradually hints that the mysterious girl may not be a girl at all. And by the end of episode 2, there is strong evidence suggesting that Max Cady himself may have been manipulating Zack through these conversations. If that's true, it demonstrates just how patient and calculating Cady really is. He isn't simply attacking the Bowdens physically, he's attacking them psychologically.
Your address is in here. I was going to leave it up front, but I heard voices.
The skunks and the beginning of the terror campaign. Not long after Cady's release, strange events begin occurring around the Bowden home. The most disturbing early incident involves 4 dead skunks discovered floating in their swimming pool. At first, it appears to be a random act of vandalism, but once Anna learns that Cady has been released, she realizes the symbolism. There is a father skunk, a mother skunk, and 2 baby skunks. The message is impossible to miss. Whoever placed them there wanted the Bowdens to know they were being watched. What's especially clever about the show is that it never immediately proves Cady was responsible. Everything points toward him. Everything feels like something he would do, yet there is never enough evidence to conclusively tie him to these acts. That uncertainty becomes one of the central themes of the first 2 episodes. Is Cady truly orchestrating all of this? Or are the Bowdens becoming so consumed by fear that they are seeing him everywhere?
Mr. Prosecutor, no hard feelings, my brother.
Max Cady's chilling public appearance. One of the most uncomfortable scenes in the premiere occurs during an event celebrating Anna's law firm. By this point, Anna is already nervous about Cady's release. Then he suddenly appears in person. What makes the scene so unsettling isn't aggression, it's restraint. Rather than threatening anyone, Cady delivers a speech about forgiveness. He talks calmly, he smiles, he presents himself as a man who has found peace. And somehow, that makes him even more frightening, because neither Anna nor the audience believes him. Javier Bardem plays these moments brilliantly. Every smile feels calculated, every pause feels deliberate. The character never needs to raise his voice because the tension comes from the possibility that violence could erupt at any second. During this speech, Cady makes seemingly random comments about fingers and toes. At the time, the remarks feel strange. Later, they become horrifying.
They cut off a finger one day, then a toe.
Zack's missing toe explained. The biggest shock of episode 2 arrives when Zack disappears. His parents panic as they search for him. Then, unexpectedly, Max Cady appears at their home, claiming he is simply returning Anna's wallet. The excuse sounds ridiculous, but because he presents it so casually, nobody can immediately challenge him. Shortly afterward, Zack finally returns. Something is clearly wrong. He's disoriented, he's injured, and then comes the devastating revelation. One of his toes has been severed. Suddenly, Cady's earlier comments about fingers and toes no longer seem random. They feel like a warning. Anna immediately suspects Cady was responsible. The evidence seems overwhelming. Yet once again, there is a problem. Cady has an alibi, a strong one. Every time the Bowdens think they've caught him, he appears to have proof that he couldn't possibly have done what they're accusing him of. This pattern is becoming increasingly important because it creates a terrifying possibility. Either Cady is an incredibly sophisticated mastermind who plans every detail in advance, or someone else is involved. Either explanation is deeply disturbing.
Well, if you can remember where you lost your toe, I can go put it on ice.
Did Max Cady catfish Zack? One of the most interesting clues comes from Zack's online relationship. Anna notices that the mysterious girl uses certain phrases in her messages. Later, she hears Cady using remarkably similar language during his public speech. The connection immediately alarms her. It suggests that Cady may have been communicating with Zack long before anyone realized it. If true, it would explain how Zack became vulnerable. It would explain why he disappeared. And it would demonstrate that Cady's revenge plan began long before he ever stepped foot near the Bowden house. This possibility transforms Cady from a simple stalker into something far more dangerous. He isn't reacting emotionally, he's executing a carefully designed strategy. Every move appears calculated to destabilize the family from within. Was Max Cady actually innocent? This is ultimately the biggest question raised by the first 2 episodes. Unlike previous versions of Cape Fear, this adaptation refuses to provide easy answers. The original crime remains clouded in uncertainty. We know Cady was convicted. We know Anna believed he was guilty. We know he spent years suffering in prison. But we don't know whether he actually murdered his wife. And the more information the show reveals, the more uncertain everything becomes. Cady repeatedly claims that prison transformed him. According to him, he entered prison as one man and emerged as another after enduring violence, abuse, and constant brutality. The show doesn't necessarily ask us to trust him, but it does ask us to consider the possibility that the system helped create the monster standing before us. That doesn't make him innocent, and it certainly doesn't excuse his actions, but it complicates our understanding of who he is. Even more intriguing is the fact that the evidence surrounding his original conviction appears increasingly questionable. The legal breakthrough that secured his release wasn't random. Something significant happened, something serious enough to make people reconsider a case that once seemed settled. That uncertainty hangs over every scene.
Yeah, you're not in that system. You're not. You're still in the other one.
the meaning of the final scene. The closing moments of episode the second of may be the most important sequence so far. We watch Max Cady being shown a house by a nervous realtor. She clearly knows who he is, and she clearly doesn't trust him. She even doubts whether he can afford the property. Cady responds by suggesting that compensation is coming. That line immediately stands out. It sounds as though he expects a major payout connected to his imprisonment. If he was wrongfully convicted, he could potentially receive a substantial settlement. But the scene becomes even stranger when we remember something he said earlier. Cady claims he sees visions of his dead wife and unborn child because of a traumatic brain injury he suffered in prison. Whether these visions are real hallucinations, manifestations of guilt, or something else entirely remains unclear. As he sits in the house, the camera reveals those figures sitting across from him. Then Cady smiles. It's a deeply unsettling moment because that smile can be interpreted in multiple ways. Maybe he's satisfied because his revenge is finally beginning. Maybe he's happy because justice is approaching. Or maybe he's simply enjoying watching the Bowdens suffer. The brilliance of the scene is that we genuinely don't know which interpretation is correct. Our nerdy thoughts. After 2 episodes, Cape Fear has successfully transformed a familiar story into a fascinating psychological mystery. The show wants us to fear Max Cady, but it also wants us to question everything we think we know about him. At the same time, it refuses to portray the Bowdens as flawless victims. They have secrets, they have regrets, and they may have played a larger role in Cady's downfall than they're willing to admit. Right now, Max Cady appears to be orchestrating a campaign of psychological warfare against the family that helped destroy his life. But the biggest mystery remains the same. Is he a guilty man seeking revenge, or an innocent man who lost everything because the justice system failed him? The first 2 episodes carefully avoid answering that question, and that's exactly why the story is so compelling. As the series continues, the truth about Max Cady, the hidden secrets of the Bowden family, and the events that led to that original conviction are almost certain to collide in explosive fashion. And when they do, nobody may turn out to be as innocent as they seem. So what do you think? Is Max Cady actually innocent, or is he simply playing a very long and very dangerous game? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Cape Fear breakdowns and ending explained videos.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.